just one day to go. Has election fever gripped the nation, do you think?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's certainly been gripping people like me for a long time now. But the interesting thing is that while the campaign's been going on for at least 6 weeks now, you could argue, the polls haven't actually shifted very much. If we take them as a group, then things are really quite similar to how they were last month, when both parties were, as they are now, getting around 33–34% of the vote. So if we take them as a group, things seem very tight between Labour and the Tories. The only note of caution I'd add is that we're not certain that things are tied. The Tories may be a few more points ahead than we think. That's what some phone polls are suggesting. So it's an unclear picture as yet.
Can we trust the polls, Harry?
Well, I think we can. But I think the important point is if you look back at 2010, the polls weren't exactly right. They overestimated the Lib Dem vote. They thought the Clegg mania would have more of an effect than it did. So the polls are often quite good, but slightly wrong. I mean, they got the Tory vote very accurate last time. And if we go further back, 97 or 2001, 2005, the polls were by and large quite accurate. But obviously in 1992, famously, they were very inaccurate. So in sum, can we trust them? Well, I think they'll do quite well, but something will be slightly wrong this time.
Who do they speak to? I mean, how many people does each poll on average actually speak to? They're quite small samples, aren't they?
They are, but the amazing thing about polls is what we do is we talk to about 1,000 people, and the maths works such that if you talk to 1,000 people, then 19 times out of 20, the people you talk to will represent the whole population, all 63 million of us, within 3% of accuracy. So if a poll says that the Tories are on 35%, that really means they're on anywhere from 32 to 38%, which doesn't seem that precise, but we have quite a lot of polls saying very similar things, which gives us quite a lot of confidence.
Indeed, and of course, Oscar's poll of polls. The polls do suggest a hung parliament. In your mind, is that inevitable?
That's certainly inevitable. The question really is both who has the largest number of seats, although we are fairly certain that's going to be the Tories, and then the crucial question becomes who can cobble together a coalition and get to the magic number of 323 seats. The really interesting thing is that while David Cameron may win the most votes and even may win the most seats, Ed Miliband probably has the most likely path to 323.
The problem is, Harry, with all these polls, there are still large numbers undecided. Some say as many as a third of voters. Is there not a chance that in the next 24 hours a third of voters could decide to go one way or could decide to go the other, and that we could actually have an outright winner on Friday?
It's possible, but it's unlikely. Everything we know about the way undecideds eventually vote is that they don't tend to shift in one great bulk to one party or the other. They tend to, by and large, go the same way as decideds go. It's very unlikely that we'll see such a big shift at the end of the day. But there is one note of caution. In Israel, a few months ago, Benjamin Netanyahu was re-elected after squeezing a right-wing vote and winning slightly more than the polls expected him to win. And there is a possibility that David Cameron picks up a few UKIPers in the next 24 hours and does slightly better than we expect.
Interesting stuff, Harry. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again over the next 48 hours. Thanks very much.